If you're new here, welcome, and to my regular fan base, welcome back. So, in this live video, we're going to discuss further breakthroughs. We're going to discuss further breakthroughs on what happens when you decide to defend yourself in court. Before I jump straight into this voice recording, because it's another long one, I just wish to say and put forth something stinks, because ever since I wanted to represent myself and stated this, all of a sudden the authority wished me to do an online appointment regarding the court hearing this Friday on the 10th. Now, I thank God that I've got a brain on my shoulders, and I'm very fortunate and blessed before I play this voice message, because I was told about the online appointment as you will hear in the recording. However, through my son's and God's soul inside of me, especially God's, but through my son's and God's soul inside of me, I thought to myself, well, I wanted to dispel with my legal team so that my voice could be heard. Number one, A. Number two, B. I wanted to, or sorry, following that, I'm told, as you'll hear in the recording, to reiterate, that the authorities want an online appointment now. And number three, C, what happens if I do not get a link? Something inside of me earlier on was screaming at me, do not write out in black and white that you wish to dispel my legal team, because if you do that, I may not receive a link, and my son's social worker most certainly will most likely not give me a link due to how good I am at defending myself, as you will hear in the recording. So I thank God and the universe, because I've protected myself here, and I said before I give a final decision based on what we chatted about earlier on, this is me and my legal team about dispelling you guys. I wish, how do I get the link? Who sends me the link? Will I get the link? And I've also sent a follow up email to declare that I may be forced to go to court, family court this Friday, if no link sent to me, so that my voice can be heard if I receive no link. And thankfully, I've not only put this forth to my son's school and the social worker and my legal team, and I've asked the reception to get my about to be former solicitor to contact me straight away to tell me the procedure, because they defend you proportionate to the local authority, so it means that because it's legal aid, they're on the local authority side much more than me. And so I just want to I want my voice to be heard, and thank God for social media as well. I want to say this. So now that all that's out the way, I'm going to play the recording, and it's a long one. So yes, if I have to leave the room for whatever reason, it's due to the length. But with all that out the way, enjoy, and more eyes will hopefully be opened pertaining towards stacking your evidence up and accountability. So here we go with the recording. You say that, so you say thank you for your email and updating us, right? And then you say there is no deadline. Should you decide to de-instruct us, you will need to let us know in writing. In the meantime, we will continue to represent you. Now, pause. What I would like to know is, Ellie Mae, right, is I would like to, because I spent a lot of time going over a very powerful statement. I would like to know if I can read said statement to the courts. Right. Okay. Well, see, but with respect, I know what my rights are by being educated. I would like to speak for myself with my statement, okay? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I feel, personally speaking, considering the magnitude of the situation, I don't mean to be difficult, I don't mean to come across as disrespectful, but I think that I've got the right to for it to come from me, my statement, my lips, my mouth, because this will demonstrate raw emotion to the judge, and this will demonstrate accountability as well, and I feel that it's best that it's heard from me. I don't mean to be difficult, I'm just saying how I genuinely feel, you know? Mm-hmm. Right. You have to say, yeah, no matter what it is, mm-hmm, you're embarrassed to do that for you, you know, and to argue your case for you. So that's how it works. So mm-hmm, if you wish to, yeah, to do this is what we were explaining on Friday, you would be acting alone. Yes. So you won't have a barrister representing you, and obviously we won't be able to represent you. And that's perfectly fine, because just so that we're clear, right? I don't want to dispel National Legal Service. I don't want to, but I feel I have to, in order for my voice to be heard pertaining towards my statement coming from my lips for maximum effect onto the judge. So if that's the only option that I have, then I would like to represent myself, you know? That's completely fine then. Like I said, you know, it's your decision. You have the right to do that. Yes. But just know that if you decide to disinstruct us, we no longer act for you. Mm-hmm. We can't prepare any statements for you. You can't contact us, mm-hmm, and vice versa, obviously. You'll be acting alone, you know, a single party, you'll be acting alone. So mm-hmm, you can't come to us for advice. Mm-hmm. So obviously, we no longer act for you. We'd have to let the courts know, the parties know we're coming off record. Yes. You know, and I said before, that's a decision you know, you're more than well within your right to make, but you need to let us know in writing. I appreciate you're arranging the meeting with the social work team. Mm-hmm. That's completely fine. Mm-hmm. But the hearing is Friday. Yes. So, you know, we need to, if this is what you decide, we need to know before Friday, because we won't have to let your barrister know. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going solo, essentially. So that answers my question then, respectfully, because I did ask you when the deadline was, and you've just confirmed before Friday, correct? There is no deadline, but what I'm saying is there is a deadline, but you're obviously saying, no, you want to, and you want to do this, so obviously you can let us know by Friday that if that's your decision now, yeah, in writing. But if you want more time to think, then mm-hmm, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, obviously, you're saying you want to read your statement out, yes, come from yourself, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But obviously, that means you want to go solo. So you, yes, have to just let us know yes, in writing by Friday, just so we can do, yes, the steps we need to take. That's all it is. That is all it is. Oh no, fair enough. And what I was intending to do, in order to promote transparency and accountability, I was intending to set up an urgent meeting with Emily Clark. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen based off of your email. Let's continue further on. So then you say, by way of updates, we have received correspondence from the local authority requesting that the hearing on 10th of January 2025 takes place remotely. This is due to your recent communication with the social work team over the Christmas periods, in which they feel you have sent 20 concerning emails. Pause. What concerning emails are they implying? I don't know. I haven't received the emails. They have just explained
explained they received 20 emails over the Christmas period. Obviously, they weren't working over the Christmas period.
Yes,
and
that's correct.
Found the tone quite concerning, and they just want to manage the safety and risk.
The safety and risk, right? So, these said 20 concerning emails, I can tell you straight away. This is from Facebook. This is when I've been posting because I wanted to get advice from other, and Ellie Mae, no matter how I may come across with my attitudes, right? I do believe that people, because out of their desperation, when they have nothing on me, that there is an agenda and a narrative going on, and at every turn, I'm always made out to be a monster, or things are just like, for lack of a better word, melodramatic of mammoth proportions pertaining towards me. I did send a lot of emails, this is true, a lot of them, but the reason, so these emails, I can tell you from now, they're screenshots from Facebook, and so I'll recite to you them quickly, right? And literally, all these emails is the majority of them, they're just pictures from Facebook, from dad's groups, and all that they are is I'll read you an email that I quickly sent. It astounds me that people do not seem to understand that environment is everything. I have not been arrested in years. My criminal history is spent. I would be open to medication, but it must be the correct medication. I hear that Ritalin for ADHD is good. My belief of what my son has said behind me strangling him is that A, he got confused when I touched his neck after he was inched on the thistles, or B, he was told to say, Dada strangled you, this would not have happened if Dada had taken his medication because Dada has ADHD by his nan. Pause. I'll revert back to the psychiatrist appointment. His words as well, he found it astonishing. So there's a nice bit of evidence right there that defends me, okay? Not just my words, just so you know. Continuing on. So by his nan, so that she could be special guardian after I refused this. My belief, because I refused because I wanted to raise my son as well and have my part in raising my own child. Yeah. So, my belief is that Maria had played dirty here. She has a lovely carer's allowance also. Also, I think that Austin has been manipulated by Maria to say things, and my son would be living in fear with her. Video evidence has been put forth here regarding this, of my son's nan abusing him, pulling his hair, and her screaming at him. Okay? So, and you said it yourself when I did this at Contact, when I showed my son the truth. Austin has displayed nothing but joy, happiness, and love since being with his dad at Contact. An abused child would not be doing this. Moreover, no evidence marks has been reported to my son's neck. If you had listened to the conference, then you would hear this. I'll be flagging this up to the judge. I will submit my letter to the judge on the day to give my side of events. That's in my final evidence here, and as you educated me on, this is strictly Contact. So, yeah, I mentioned these emails here, and then this is sent to Emily, right? And then I did send from Facebook groups a lot of consequential effects that parental alienation has on a child's psychology. So years gone by, the stolen time, the time you can't get back. Almost 10 years ago, we entered into family court. This was from a person on a Facebook group. Yes, I have sent, because I want to raise awareness of the detrimental damages that this will have upon my son. Family court, blood on their hands. I did send a picture image off of that, a group I'm creating. I sent a lot of pictures of my son and his development via picture images, right, to Emily Clark to showcase him under my care. Loads of picture images to her emails from screenshots, right? I've said a good father is one of the most A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society. I did say that. Screenshots of that. Father absence has shown to lead to rates of depression, rates of divorce, rates of substance abuse, and that's the ups, and the downs are life expectancy, average income, job security. I also put out the impacts. 1 out of 3 live in homes without their biological fathers. 90% of homeless and runaway children, this is through parental alienation. 85% all of youths in prison without their fathers. 71% of all high school dropouts. 85% of children with behavioural disorders. The list goes on and on. So these are just to name but a few. I have sent a lot, and the reason why I sent out a lot, before I made out to be the horrible monster, because I've noticed a pattern here. The local authority, when they have nothing on me, in their desperate attempts, I've noticed a pattern of melodramatic, the best word I can put forth, of like literally mammoth proportions, to drive my name into the ground in the worst way possible. And I failed to see how any of this is concerning, as in maybe they view it as concerning to the length of emails, granted. But to be fair, in my defense, it was Christmas time. It was my first Christmas I would have missed with my son on top of my birthday. And I did this from being quite emotional, but I also wanted to raise awareness and highlight the importance of my son's father in his life, especially when I'm an innocent man. So that's the concerning, or that's correlating towards your email when you put forth the national authorities' concerns in order to promote transparency and accountability. Pause. Would you like to say anything?
That's completely fine. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, they find it concerning. You know, that's just how they feel.
Yeah.
They've asked if want it to be heard remotely, and I'm assuming also remotely works better for you, no?
I mean, it actually does, because it saves me. I mean, it doesn't. I was hoping to go to court, because what's the one thing that you miss online? It's energy. You cannot feel the atmosphere. So I'm going to miss that. But for the costs, I was going to take an Uber down to Feltham, and it would have been like £20 or something like this. But I was going to invest in myself, because I wanted to be relaxed before going into the actual chamber. Do they call it chambers? Chambers, right? They're called chambers.
Just hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, the court hearing. My apologies. So I wanted to be in a relaxed state, and I was going to invest in Uber. So in that aspect, it works out better. But let's continue with your email. Now that in order to promote transparency and accountability, I've mentioned I put forth to you their concerns from said emails I sent out over the Christmas periods. Bear with me, Ellie, mate. Do you object to the hearing being heard remotely? Do I have a choice in that, may I ask?
I mean, well, yeah, I need to ask you if you have a choice. But if you say, well, so far, obviously the local authority want it to be remote. Guardian solicitor isn't in disagreement. They agree for it to be remote. If you say no, you know, they're going to write to the court and ask them. So if you say no, the judge will decide. But I just need to know how you feel about it being remote.
I mean, they're the ones with the powers. I don't think I've got a voice, do I? So there's no point
I still need to
fighting it, right?
I can't just decide. I have to ask.
I mean, if it's going to benefit everybody, then I've got no problems with it being remote. I would have liked to have gone in person so that the judge could feel my energy as I'm reading up my own statement, and to like feel my sincerity. Not just blaming others, but keeping myself accountable through the contact care proceedings. As you educated me on, I did keep it strictly to that. So, you know, it's not like I've got a choice anyway. They're the ones with the power and the money. But like I said to you in the meeting, in order to counter their top solicitors, I'm going to counter that with authenticity, integrity, and truth. I don't lie, all right? Okay, let's continue on. Also, we have received correspondence from the judge informing us that the issues resolution hearing, IRH, will be heard on 30th of January 2025, but we are yet to receive a time. Once I have received the time, I will of course inform you of this. So the issue resolution hearing, this is the final evidence, is that correct?
So issue resolution hearing is where all issues and set the matter down for a final hearing. So between now and then, we have to do your final evidence, which is due on the 15th of January, I believe.
Right.
In my head.
Okay.
So we have a lot of information from you anywhere regarding that, but if we need any more, we'll let you know and we can arrange an appointment.
Okay.
So all it is we've got everything in. We're hoping to essentially iron out any issues for the final hearing, and then the final hearing will be set.
No problem at all. Right, Ellie, mate, you've been absolutely fantastic. Can I just request one more thing, please?
Yeah.
And I appreciate this. Give me a second, Ellie, mate. I just need to grab something. Hang on.
You're going to hear my statement now. This is what the authorities are really scared of. And they haven't sent me a link for court yet. So I'm very grateful that I haven't instructed my solicitors to stop representing me yet.
Can you hear me?
Because it could be a trap.
Yeah.
Right, I'd like to read to you something. And I think that this is actually very, very powerful, if I do say so myself. And people have underestimated me my entire life, and I'm using that to my advantage. So when you hear all of this, I feel that, let me just read this to you. My statement to the judge following my last day at contact. I would first like to start out this letter by saying that I had, until December of last month, been seeing my son at the contact centre in Greenford since July of last summer. And my last time when I saw my son at the venue was on the 9th of the 12th, 2024. Since the 3rd of the 1st, 2024, I have chosen to represent myself in family court following my meeting with Tracy and Ellie Mae from the National Legal Service, as I feel that I must do this as a man and as a father, due to the deplorable false accusations made about me in relation to my son's dads, and that I must defend myself with every fibre of my being for ChristopherMurray. There are a multitude of reasons behind this, and following my briefing of my meeting yesterday of National Legal Aid, this was 2 days ago now, I am told that I need to write out my statement revolving around the boundaries of the current situation, relating to the LA's decision to suspend contact for the foreseeable future between my son and his father. And I'll do my very best to do such here, while saving the rest of my stacked defence for the final evidence hearing at family courts, whenever this future date will be. Let's go over me and my son's journey, and the authorities together at the contact centre, covering them in the following points. My sons and I interacted together at contact from my own personal viewpoints. 1. For roughly over a 5-month period since, I believe of July last year, my son and I were in a forced situation of being observed twice a week, 1 hour per contact session on a Monday and a Thursday between the hours of 4 to 5 by contact service supervisors. 2. I found this incredibly upsetting due to the false accusations made about me by my son's nan and the authorities. I am an innocent man and can prove this truth in my final evidence statement. 3. I always did my best for my son at contact and gave him every fibre of my being, emotionally, psychologically and spiritually, with emotional immersion pertaining towards love. That hour was my son's, and no matter how I felt, for the most part considering the circumstances of the current situation, I felt that I did my absolute best to maintain my composure for the majority speaking throughout the last 5 months, with the aforementioned points of my son's and his father's interaction together considering the situation, and we made the most of a horrendous situation for both of us. 4. At contact, I would mix up activities such as reading, board games, homework, toys, and playing with him, with whatever that this entailed for him regarding the playing activities and game of his own choice. 5. At contact, I fully admit that I will be recording from my device to demonstrate a timeline of authenticity, purity, and truth. This would include whilst being in the contact room and recording our activities and filming at the reception area as I was walking through the main entrance, to prove that week by week my son would always run up to his father as I was coming through the main doors. 6, why I did this was to showcase is that this is not something that an abused child would do. Moreover, if he was an abused child, then why would he want to see his father at contact to begin with? My personal opinion is that he would not want to see his father if this was indeed true, let alone his body language and mannerisms / facials illustrating nothing but excitement and love upon seeing his dad on a consistent basis for every visit. 7, my son has displayed nothing but joy, happiness and love at contact with his father, and this can all be proven by my recordings with a timeline of stamped dates for my recorded data. 8, I was accused by the local authority of being paranoid by doing this. I strongly disagree. I believe that this is projection on the LA's part in their attempts to deflect accountability from the local authority's reprehensible treatment towards me. I can prove this in my final evidence, and we'll go deep here when I submit an amount of evidence relating to this. 9, when everything was so fresh last summer, as I first started seeing my child at the contact centre, it's true that my emotions became overwhelmed, and in turn, I was coming across as threatening. But to my honest recollection of it being between the 4th or 5th week visits, in the beginning stages, I was verbally abusive, not by swearing and not shouting, at least not intentionally, to the contact service supervisors. I can honestly say that due to being neurodiverse with adult ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, that I have a loud and powerful voice, and I am misperceived by many people here. And when I became emotional and upset for being constantly distracted by being creepily stared at, I found it very difficult from A, how me and my son were being looked at excessively, and B, incredibly distracting, especially considering my son's and his father's current situation. 10, my behaviour, in order to promote transparency and accountability, did become perhaps somewhat threatening to other people, as I was becoming increasingly upset as the weeks went by. But A, I can't help how I was born, with high intensity energy being quick, my mannerisms, etc. This is common with ADHD, and I humbly request that the judge notes this truth. And B, this only accentuates when I became emotionally upset given the situation. And when contact was suspended the first time around, I was in a bad state of mind due to the situation being so fresh at that time last summer, and having so many people at once from different departments being in communication with me. Side note, I commend the judge for showing compassion by reinstating my physical visitation rights with my son when the contact was suspended for the first time, and gave me a second chance following one online appointment that was supervised by Emily and Maria after contact was suspended for a little while. And moreover, pertaining towards me being upset, this is because of the supervisors looking very creepily at my son and his father from their observations. So I would record a lot to distract myself from this, as it was making me extremely uncomfortable. 11, a meeting with Emily Clark and the contact service facilitator Carolyn Barrett was set up. I forgot the exact date, please excuse me here, to discuss my excessive recordings. And when I was recording, and I suggested to avoid future potential conflicts, after accidentally filming a child in a video who was really far behind my son in the background, but I can't stress enough that I was focused on my son with the video to showcase how happy he was to see me, that I should only record in the private room, which was agreed upon. I was also given a 10-minute recording time after negotiations with Emily and Carolyn. To keep myself accountable, I did go over slightly with my video minutes from the first 2 occasions that these rules were implemented from the first 2 occasions, and me and Carolyn spoke of this when I called her up to discuss. Following our phone conversation, side note, I always showed Carolyn respect by asking her, how can I improve that contact from her viewpoint anyway? I made a conscious, deliberate, determined effort with with a laser-like focus to keep my recordings under 10 minutes long in the future following our phone conversation. And I kept it well underneath the deadline, with the minutes being on average between 6 and 8 respectfully. After the first 2 slip-ups, I can also prove this truth upon request by way of a date and stamped timeline. 12. Whilst it's true that it's been a rocky road regarding my conduct with the observers, and admittedly, I said some things I shouldn't have from being so upset with what's happened, technically speaking, I was only suspended from contact once, and I humbly ask that this is noted by the judge in this horrendous ordeal for me and my child. Fast forward into my last day at contact, where I walked out, I did wait until the hour was up, to be fair to my son, Murray. This was the day after my birthday, which I could not spend with my child. Moreover, I would be missing my first Christmas with my son. On top of this, Anne, who was an excellent solicitor, had recently left for a better opportunity for herself in her respective job role as a solicitor, and I was emotionally exhausted after doing so many tests from different types of people, and I had recently failed a test, in my opinion largely due to my attitudes and not what I was saying in my own opinion. When people do not like you, you will be surprised at just how professional that they truly are. I have voice recordings of the truth regarding all of my tests being completed, and upon request, I would be more than happy to submit said tests to a WhatsApp number to the judge directly or somebody else so that the truth is showcased. I will admit that my attitude carries much hostility and negativity, and based on what I have been accused of, when I submit my final evidence, you shall see why this is indeed the case when you see the entire depths of what I'm speaking of for yourself. 13. It was not just for myself I needed a break from contact. It was seeing how psychologically damaged my son was becoming throughout all of it, and his physical attend and homework needs being neglected, which was really making me angry and upset additionally. Also, my son has stated numerous times that it's been a long time since he had played at the park. Leonard does not do much homework with me on maths, and his performance at school is a reflection of this here after I spoke with my son's school to find out information of his education progression, as I care. Side note, the school have been the only people of authority who has given me updates of my son, and yes, I admit that I speak badly of Maria regarding selfish behaviour and my son's needs not being met. I care for my son, and if people wish to flip this by protecting their own narrative that suits their agenda, then so be it. I will pay that price gladly, as I have shown that I have always cared for my son by asking questions. 14. At the last contact on the 9th of the 12th, 2024, I asked my son to put his hands through my very long beard at the time and asked him if it was sharp and prickly. He said yes. I then proceeded to explain that when I kissed my son's face and my beard scratched my son's face and it went red, this is when the Ealing Local Authority Social Services became involved, and the case took over a year to shut. I then showed him a video of the last time that I had my son in the community when he was playing in the maze at Bunny Park, and asked him to look closely at the thistles and how sharp that they were. I explained that a thistle scratched his neck and his neck went red. When he was screaming in pain, I explained that I gently touched his neck to see the extent of the injury, and told him that he got confused when he said that I thought that I strangled him due to how young that he was, being 5.5 at the time, respectfully. Side note, I have my own opinions that he was told to say this by his nan to get a lovely carer's allowance and to take my son from me after I refused her to be special guardian to my child by manipulating the court system. Well, I shall go deep here in my final evidence being submitted. And finally, I showed a voice recording of my son's nan screaming and degrading my son, calling him a terrible boy, he is no good, before finally saying to him, I love you, but I do not know when Dada will see you again. Accountability. Should I have been showing and telling a 6.5-year-old this? On the surface, no. But if you scratch at the surface, when you consider the reprehensible accusations that has been made about me, then I do think that showing my son the truth of who the actual abuser really is, it's worth the sacrifice of contact being suspended for the foreseeable future so that my son is not brainwashed and a wedge is not driven between us. 15. I am not opposing the local authorities suspending my contact for the foreseeable future due to the emotional and psychological damages that this ordeal has had on myself and most importantly my son. Side note, I was becoming so psychologically damaged that I once accused a carer sitting in a reception of spying on me, which was bad. I immediately apologised and explained my situation for this. When I had a meeting with Emily Clark recently to put forth accountability that Maria had chosen to meet me at Pizza Express with my son and present to bury the hatchet between us for Austin, I can submit evidence of this if required, and that I was asking for a fresh start next year, now this year in 2025, it was agreed upon by Emily Clark. Moreover, accountability. I told the local authority that my friend, who is currently staying with me, as well as her 9-year-old son, and who have been staying with me since September, bumped into my son and Maria. I also declared that it almost cost us our friendship, as she could have unintentionally got me into a lot of trouble, even although she meant well. I immediately mentioned what had happened to the contact supervisors on the next day, and Carolyn and Emily. My solicitors and Elaine Mitchell reporting to the courts, who I was having meetings with. We had a total of 3 meetings, in total which were all voice recorded for my son's and his father's protection. And side note, once again, I strongly feel that I was largely failed my test, largely because of my attitudes and my exhausted emotional state, and not what I was saying as a whole. In our last meeting, Elaine became very passive-aggressive towards me, and I had to take numerous breaks in order for me to continue with her interrogation of me. Side note, I thank everybody, including Elaine, who has tested me close to my breaking point, as it has set me up for this very day pertaining towards maintaining my composure on this day at court. Every time I have felt that I have done something wrong, I've always done my absolute best to be accountable and look at the opposing viewpoint to mine. I didn't have to declare Maria, my son, and myself met. I chose to do this, just like Maria chose to meet me after my son's voice for his father could not be silenced. Additionally, I chose to tell everyone from the authorities when my friends talked with Maria and my son at Costa Coffee Shop, and it almost cost us our friendship. I was so mad. 16. Going forwards, I am humbly proposing that I can start to help out an aging, elderly, 72-year-old lady with my son's school runs, especially as it is becoming very cold now and will only get much worse soon. If I was such a threat, then Maria would not have met me at Pizza Express to bury the hatchet and to make peace for Austin. I simply can't have my son going into care, as this would destroy him after losing his mummy to COVID-19. And once I have proved my innocence in the final parts of evidence being submitted, I will undergo all of my tests that has been recommended to me by Dr. Coulson. It's my sincere hope that I can do school runs and have online appointments with my child, bare minimum, with being able to have my son in the community and overnight stays in the future by setting out a long-term roadmap for my son's future. Are you still there, Ellie?
Yeah, I'm here.
So that's my statement to the courts. What do you think?
I think that's fine. I think, sorry.
It's okay.
I think your barrister can say this to you on your behalf. Like, what you atrocious, but they are equipped to speak on your behalf. And I appreciate what you were saying, in the sense, obviously, you know, coming from yourself personally, being more powerful. I get that, but the whole point of having us to help represent you and a barrister to represent you is so, you know, things are done, you know, properly, so to speak. You know, they're educated, they're trained to do this, they do it on a daily basis. So they can put your position across in the best way possible, so the judge can understand, you know, everything.
But is there a way, though, because as I've proven numerous times, I'm a rare breed. I don't like to come across in the best way. I like to come across in the real way. And being real is calling yourself out where you go wrong. In this instance, myself, where I've gone wrong, and my part, what role did I play in this? Most people won't do that. Most people will deflect, blame shift. Oh, it's everybody else's fault. It's not my fault. I can't be accountable. They can't introspect. Not me. I don't care about coming across in the best way. I care about coming across in an authentic, real way. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense, and I understand what you are saying, but I think this decision, you have to make the decision yourself. Like, you have to decide whether you want to be represented or, you know, do it by yourself. I think you can only make that decision for you. We've already told you on what would happen should you wish to disinstruct us. But I think you need to make that decision yourself. And obviously, as the hearing is Friday, then you know, if you are leaning towards that, you just have to let us know as soon as possible. But that is all. I mean, I don't mean to put pressure on it, but...
No, it's okay. And I do understand your position, respectfully, because there's paperwork, there's protocols, there's procedures, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, we just need to know, that's all. I think, you know, your barrister is well equipped, and, you know, she'll speak to you before the hearing anyway. She'll speak to you, they always do.
Right.
Before the hearing, and to really, you know, go through everything with you.
Right.
But as you said, the hearing on Friday isn't to do with, you know, final evidence or anything like that. It's just purely to do with the local authority's application to suspend contact. That's all it is on Friday. That's what we will be arguing, your position on that.
Oh, yeah, and as I've proven to you in my statement, I did keep it 95% strictly with contact, correct? I only, because, you know, what's the one thing we can't control, Ellie Mae? Tick-tock, time, right? As the weeks turn to months, and the months turn to multi-months by this being dragged out, and then the multi-months turn into years, alienated child becomes very damaged. This is why I sent everything to Emily Clark, just highlight the dangers psychologically for that child's well-being. If people who proclaim that they care, really, truly cared, they would understand, yes, although I did keep a 95% contact, the only thing I said was, I want a long-term roadmap for my child, because I'm not opposing the local authority. I'm not going to fight them. I had a meeting with them, which was voice recorded, them saying that they would work with me this year. I apologise to them, because you have to understand, Ellie Mae, so that sounds rude. Try to understand that when you've got a guy who's been accused of shotgun offences, murder, right, schizophrenia, that's really fucked me up. Excuse my language, yeah? And it shows me the entire depths of that local authority, and, like, why? Why do they do this? Like, what sick world is this that they will go? But, like, this was said, and I apologise to Emily Clark for this. Emily, although she does ghost me a lot, she is, compared to Abigail Doe, who's for that piece of you-know-what, fill in the blank, Emily's actually very nice. When I've seen her in meetings, I wanted to stress to Emily that I carried with me with all these like horrendous, reprehensible, sick accusations, it affected me massively, exponentially, with what Abigail Doe had said, the previous social worker. And Emily Clark, she got the rough of my continued emotional damage, if you will, because I'll admit it. I was very damaged. Who wouldn't be? When you're accused of that, things that aren't true. On top of your beard scratching your son's face and the case technique, you're nearly shot on top of your son's running around in a maze and he just had some neck on the fist. So like and I know I've gone on record saying this before. I know for a fact there's definitely something going on, okay? But I think, again, because I'm the black sheep, because I walked away from the system at 29, right? And because I've only got 7 years, now 8 years, I'm 37 now, in experience in the real world, which I can understand, that is where the authorities' concerns are. It's my lack of life experience and it's my criminal history. But, right, what I don't understand is when your criminal history is spent, it shouldn't be a life sentence. Facts. This will be submitted in my final evidence, by the way. 10 years, not being charged. Few years, not being arrested. Shouldn't be a life sentence. But I think, I'll tell you what I think, Ellie Mae, because I've done a lot of research on this from my Facebook groups, and solicitors have advised me from father groups, former solicitors. I'm very equipped now. I know what I'm doing now. And I can tell you, it's not because of my criminal history so much. It's more to do with my lack of life experience, but it's bad PR for the local authority to admit this. They're going to revert to the criminal history, and that's their way out. Because I chose to walk away from the system. You see my house. I chose to get a gorgeous house. I chose to start up my business, right? Which I'm very successful at, right? I chose to have a beautiful boy. I think it disgusts the LA. I think that it puts them to shame. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm saying that if I'm not right, then something else is happening. Because under ordinary circumstances, when a person's been clean for so long, clean by way of staying out of trouble, this wouldn't usually happen. I think it's because of my lack of life experience, which I can fully understand, Ellie Mae. But why can't they just say this? You know, why can't they just be real about it? Why do they have to be the gutless cowards and revert to the criminal history after 10 years of being charged? Because it's bad PR. They don't want to accept accountability. That's the truth, I think, right? And I also think that with the LA, like, it's just never enough. It's never enough. I've been fighting, right? And side note, this will be submitted in my final evidence, Ellie Mae. 4.5 years, Surrey local authority. Beat them all the time. I beat them multiple times. We did, me and my wife, when she was alive. We did. That included them coming to our address and us going to their offices in Leatherhead, respectfully, in Surrey, okay? But when I moved to London, I wanted to have a fresh start. Yes, granted, I did bring this on myself. I did say take me to court, and this is why I'm in a situation now. Accountability. That I can understand. What rocked my world, Ellie Mae, is all of the crazy, ludicrous, sick accusations made about me, which you're fully aware of. That's what rocked my world and really damaged me and fucked me up, excuse my language. But, so I know the depths that they will go to, and it's desperation when they have nothing on me. They're trying to find everything, and they can't. This is why I want the judge to hear me and my voice. Now, last thing I'll say, Ellie Mae, thank you for your patience, okay? I commend you for that. I do commend you for that. Thank you. But I don't understand why people can't see that after 4.5 years of proving myself, after losing my wife, losing my son, moving to London to support an elderly woman with my son, co-parenting for the first time without the mum around, right? Parenting across generations, the energy it entails. Me doing the school runs plus work and getting so used to it for the first time with having my son with his dad's. Again, for your information, the longest I had my son and my mother-in-law didn't like this, was for 15 straight days, 14 nights and 1 day. The reason for this is that one day, Maria thinks she's, by manipulating the court system, she thinks she's going to be in charge forever. Let me tell you something. Forever comes with an expiration date. That woman's 72 years old. And I'm not just talking about physical life, I'm talking about mental capacity, mobility. As proven at contact, this will be submitted in my final evidence hearing. My boy's needs have been neglected with Park, right? The homework not being completed. I've spoken to the school and it's not nice for me to say it's about my own child, but I'm going to. The school have said his maths is not for good at all. He's had extra support in phonics and English by after school club. He's needed extra support because his nan hasn't bothered to nourish him and give. It's all for show with her. It's all for show and power and dominance and money. It's not for love and nourishment and developing like a farmer with my child. And this has been proven constantly at contact. I'll save this for the final evidence, but like, I admit I brought it on myself by saying you have to take me to court, but what I couldn't envisage at all, what rocked my wells, was all the reprehensible, sick, twisted, how, not just one, not two, murder, schizophrenia, shotgun offences, that's 3 right there. Then you add in other lies. Am I making sense?
No, I get what you're saying, but I think what the best thing to do is, I think what you need to do now is decide between now and Friday what you wish to, sorry.
It's okay.
What you wish to do.
Yeah.
If you wish to keep us on board or not. Because I think, you've got a lot of thoughts in your head and, like I said before,
I see.
We can represent you to the best. We can do that, but if you feel you'd rather go alone, then that's for you to decide. That's your choice. But if you could just let us know by Friday, that would be great.
No, I absolutely will. May I just ask, and you've given me a lot of your time, and I do want to thank you for that, genuinely.
Okay.
And genuinely, sincerely, I do thank you for your time. One last question, anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can negotiate where my solicitor could partially represent me, but pertaining towards my statement from my words, can I read it with my own lips? Is that an option?
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
The thing, everything you have said though, everything you have said, we can raise it in a professional statement, obviously, which will be your final evidence.
Yeah.
We can raise it and we draft it, we draft it in a way that is persuasive and will read well.
See, I don't want to sound cocky. I think what I've read, or to you, what I've written now, is really good. And I'll tell you why, right? I don't care about coming across the best way. That's not who I am. That's a disservice to me and my soul. I'm a man of integrity, accountability, and truth. And I've proven this numerous times. I'm rare breed, Ellie Mae. I don't care about coming across the best way. I think the judge would appreciate me coming across in a real way, whilst keeping myself accountable. So therefore, I think it is best to represent myself, indeed.
That's completely fine. That's your decision. I do have to go though now.
No, I understand. Yes, no problem.
But if you could just let me know in writing by Friday what you wish to do, that's completely fine.
And okay, that's fine. And I'll be able to read my statement out going forwards. And I know you've got to go, but will I, if I'm representing myself going forwards, when it says statements, is it just statements in my defence, right? There's no other...
It's just a statement you have to draft, so...
Yeah, that's fine. As proven, I can do that. I've proven that to you. I've got a mountain of evidence. I've got an email from Abigail the Doll with her false accusations about me. That was to be submitted in my final evidence. I've got many things, voice recordings if they're required, you name it. So I'll represent myself. Thank you, Ellie Mae.
That's completely fine, but obviously the hearing on Friday is just to deal with the local authority's application, nothing else. So that's all that will be decided on Friday. But if you could just let me know.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But
yeah,
but the judge will hear my voice, and I have kept it within the contact compounds. The only thing I've mentioned was the last bit about a long-term roadmap for my son so that he's not further alienated and that I can at least have online appointment or school run. That was just stated at the end. Other than that, it was always kept with contacts, you know?
That's completely fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you can just let me know as soon as possible, that would be great.
I will. No problem, May. Have a great day.
No, that's okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So if you made it this far, thank you so much. The truth's going to be revealed. My secret sauce is I keep myself accountable, not just other people. And it's funny to me. As soon as I say, and I had to literally not only quote the receptionist, I've got an email come from my solicitor now, but I quoted the reception, this and this, social worker, everybody. Because I said, look, I'm going to go to court in person if no one's going to give me a link. And I've got an email, and it says, Dear Christopher, thank you for your email and voicemail, the contents of which I have noted. Should you wish to de-instruct us, then we will do the following. Inform the court and parties of this, come off record so that you are on record of presenting yourself moving forward, and send you a closing file of the letter. Regarding the hearing on Friday, I have already informed the parties that you do not object to the hearing being heard remotely. It is my understanding that the local authority will write to the court to request remote attendance on Friday. Once I hear back, I will of course update you. As explained during our meeting on the 3rd of January 2025 and on the phone this morning, should you wish to de-instruct us, then we will not be able to represent you moving forwards. This means that you are not able to contact us about your case and we can't contact you. You will need to prepare all court documents yourself and ensure you comply with all directions, and you will be representing yourself at court. In terms of the hearing link, this would typically be sent to us and we can send it to you. However, should you be representing yourself, then the link will be sent to you directly and not to us. Please could you confirm in writing as soon as possible as to whether you wish to de-instruct us or not. Kind regards, Ellie Mae Wood. So there's the email here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. And I still suspect that this could be a trap. They may well be waiting on my decision to dispel with them. And once they have that in black and white, then they're going to, because they never said, they danced around the question, you see. They never said who would send me the link. It says you'll be representing yourself, then the link would be sent to you directly and not to us. Can you see that bit? I don't know if you can see that bit. Right? Can you see that? So I need to find out now who's going to send me the link to keep them accountable. Because as soon as thank God I've got a brain in my shoulders and my son and God is guiding me. Because as soon as I say no more, I'm going to dispel from you and represent myself, it could be a trap. I could be getting effed over. And I know how good I am at defending myself because it's the truth. And I stack compounded evidence, leverage stacking that I have. I think many people, they're trying to trap me. So I might be paranoid, but we're going to see. I'm going to keep everybody updated. And it's online appointment now, so I'm going to tackle this very carefully. And once I get the link, now that it is online, I can record it from the court's meeting, and then I'm going to post that. So if you made it this far, much love, much respect. Thank you so much. God bless you all. My voice is slowly yet strongly getting out there towards other people who are being fucked up about. And I'm just telling a story. I'm telling a big, long, drawn-out story of authenticity, purity, and truth pertaining towards getting my son back with his father. And I hope that I can be a beacon of light if I'm successful towards other men in doing such and giving them the confidence needed. Much love, everybody.